So I wanted to start doing like multiple part videos, and I thought I would start by doing a trilogy of an artist that I just found out about recently, actually, probably within the past 2 years or so, or a year. And that artist is Kaze Shinobu. I was never a big fan of manga ever, or anime. Never was. I thought it all looked like dog shit. Little did I know, there's actually good anime, and there's also good manga. And this is an example of great manga and a great manga artist, Kaze Shinobu. Probably one of my favorite artists of all time, and I knocked manga for the longest time. I'm talking like when I was in high school, many years, many moons ago. There were a lot of people who were into manga and anime, and I used to be like, wow, that's for fucking weebs. Little did I know that years later, I would be looking at books like this. Kaze Shinobu, amazing manga artist, and I only have 3 of his books, and I'm going to cover 3 of them in a trilogy. So this is part 1 of the Kaze Shinobu trilogy. I'm very excited for part 2 because there's some wrestling, and I put up 2 wrestling videos so far, wrestling comics videos, and anytime I could do a wrestling comic or go over a wrestling comic, I'm very excited. But I want to take a look at Kaze Shinobu. This book is very difficult to open. I got this directly from Japan. I did not go to Japan. I got it delivered to me because I'm a pussy and I don't like to fly. So I thought, well, I might as well get it sent to me. But we're going to start out with a Kaze Shinobu story that was actually in Heavy Metal magazine. How did I find out about this artist? I found out about this artist by 2 YouTube channels, one of them being Cartoonist Kayfabe, and the other one being Japan Book Hunter, I think his name is. And he has everything that Kaze Shinobu has put out. But this starts out with, by the way, great channels. This starts out with a story that was in Heavy Metal. And why do I like Kaze Shinobu? Because he's so different than a lot of artists that you see. And, like I say, in every single video, he draws great fucking anatomy. I mean, I love his anatomy. I see so much Bern Hogarth in him, and I don't even know if he knew that Bern Hogarth existed. He probably did. I'm talking about him like he died. I think he's still alive. I don't know if he knows that Bern Hogarth exists, but I see so much Bern Hogarth in his work, it's insane. In fact, there's a book that we will go over, which I'm pretty sure there's a panel that was directly taken from a Bern Hogarth book. So, great stuff. His stuff does not look like traditional manga stuff manga stuff, in my opinion. It reminds me very much like I feel like every time I'm looking at his comics. By the way, I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know what is actually even going on. I just have to look at the pictures. But it's very cinematic, and that's what I love about it. It feels like you're reading a movie. There are comics out there that do that very well, and then there are comics that don't. And this guy is a master at that. And it's so weird. It's all over the place. It's like futuristic stuff mixed with like modern day stuff. One of the books that we're going to look at is As Weird as It Can Get. So if you're digging this, I hope that you'll come back for part 2, because I'm going to look at something that's a little different than this, but then we're going to go right back into what Kaze is best at, which is weird. Now, I know he was apparently he was inspired by Juliet and Mobius, perhaps. Juliet, I think, definitely, because there's some Juliet in his work. But Mobius, I think, as well. Just weird stuff. Would it be fun to read? I have no idea. But it sure as hell is fun to look at. And it's got some great stuff. Very, creative stuff. And sometimes the most oddball stuff in comics, when you're looking at from an artist standpoint, is some of the most impressive shit. There are some people who read comics for story. I totally get that. I do too. There are comics I read for story that are not amazingly drawn. But an amazingly drawn comic, that reminds me so much of Otomo, by the way. I don't know, it just reminds me of Otomo, which we will go over Otomo at some point in the future. Great drawings, and the other thing is that the faces all look totally different. There's never a point where you're looking and go, no, some of the characters have the same faces. There is no same face shit going on here. These characters look very different from one another. I'm sure I will get a page where there'll be two characters that look exactly the same, but whatever, it's cool. Very big on eyes. Very cool with the eye stuff, the close-up eye shot. I love anybody who can draw a great punch. It's very difficult to draw a great punch. Very difficult to draw anything. But, yeah. Very cool. Like some mechanical stuff going on. Futuristic sci-fi stuff. Sci-fi. Just very cool. Like an exoskeleton thing going on, I think. People jumping out of buildings. Weird shit going on, but it's very cool. Stuff like that. I mean, like what is going on here? But it's just impressive. It looks like a collage of drawings and pieces, and then you get something very simple like that with some screen tone. That's the other thing about these manga artists is they use a lot of screen tone, but I love also seeing pieces that don't have screen tone like this. I love the just like the shatter, like the pieces coming off and the debris, and it looks like there's some blood there, and the dynamic falling. Very cool stuff. Draws great women too. This one's fucking weird from what I can remember. There's like body parts. This guy finds. This is kind of like what's his name, Junji Ito before Junji Ito. Just very weird, oddball-y stuff that's so different than anything that you would see in America. And then you wonder why things like Silent Hill and Resident Evil exist. It's shit like this. You go, oh, okay, I understand why things are so fucking... Like, you play Silent Hill 2 and you go, it's such a weird game. I guess he's trying to stop her from drinking the water. Oh, shit's coming out of her stomach now. How many comics do you read that have something coming out of a woman's fucking pregnant stomach? What a weird comic. She's just like split in half. It's like an alien baby coming out of her stomach. Oh, no. Looks like a woman, I guess. And then the wife's body parts are in a refrigerator. I don't know, man. Very weird shit, but I dig it. It's very cool. Great anatomy there on this character here. Just every page is just so different than something you would see in American comics. You don't get this shit in America. And this will never be translated, of course. So why would it be? I think it'd be too weird for the American market. I love this. Just the same. I love, like, movement, in panels. Probably should have taken the thing off, but that's okay. The outside of the book. Get into more weird futuristic stuff. Great. That's a Julia drawing, if you ask me. It's like its forearm grew back. I guess she wants a fair fight, I'm assuming. I love that anatomy. It's just great, and anybody can draw great anatomy. It's just, man, it just gets me so inspired. I'm like, man, I just love great anatomy. Great dynamic stuff. Great drawn gun too. It's a very well drawn gun. It's not like a square and going, okay, here you go, that's a gun. Boom boom. It's like an actually well drawn gun. I don't know what the timeline on getting this stuff out was. I don't know how much time he had, per story. I'm assuming he had quite some time because it's very, very detailed and well drawn. And Kaze is. I would love to have seen him work in mainstream comics. Just draw like a Batman comic. I think Atomo drew a Batman comic at one point. Would have been cool to see him draw a Batman comic. Great facial expression. That bitch looks fucking crazy. It's like shit of nightmares. Like if I had seen that as a kid, that would have scared the shit out of me. Oh, I just gotta fix this. It's pissing me off. Okay, here we go. People jumping out of buildings. What a weird page that is. Very psychedelic, like Juliet. I love overhead shots. Very cool. Anybody who can play with perspective, I'm all for it. That guy just got fucking blasted down here. You're gonna tell me that this guy isn't a great artist. You're nuts if you don't think this guy's great. And so different. Again, we're playing with perspective here. That horizon line is slightly tilted. Very cool. Very violent. Definitely not for children, that's for sure. Meanwhile, probably like 12-year-olds are picking this shit up off the fucking counters. You know, that's the thing is like, unless you've made comics yourself, sometimes you don't realize how difficult it is to do something like this. And you look at somebody who's so amazing at it, it just seems like it was so simple for them. And you have no idea how much planning went into it, how much thought went into it, but it just looks so amazing. You only see the finished piece, you know? You never see the work that gets to that point, and that's why I love comics, or that's why I love books that kind of go over the process, because it's a very difficult process, but when you see somebody do it so amazing, like our guy here, Kaze Shinobu, it's just very cool. Very inspiring. But also kind of deflating at some points too, because you're like, I don't know. How many more years do I have to draw to be this good? It's so different. Like I said, I've said that multiple times. It's so different than kind of anything you see in American comics. And I mean, that's the thing is like when you're an artist, you have to learn how to draw. Like when you're comic book artist, you have to learn how to draw everything. You have to learn how to draw planes and jets and buildings and all kinds of crazy shit. Plane looks like it's about to hit a building. It's just, man, it's very like a very grim sort of storytelling, and I dig that. I absolutely am into that. Oof. That's rough. That's a rough one, for sure. That building just getting split right in half. That's a great drawing. Great explosion. So yeah, that's a great drawing right there. Man, Kaze, what a master. What a master artist. I'm going to fix this because it's pissing me off. What an amazing artist. What a master artist. We're going to do 3 parts. Kaze because that's all I can get of his. He hasn't done much work. His work is very limited. I couldn't pick up everything that he's done because, he's got some short stories and other books and stuff like that. But I picked up these, I picked up one that is, his big story. And then I picked up another one, but his stuff is pretty difficult to get your hands on. And obviously, if you live in the States, it's, impossible to have, anybody in the States would have it, so you have to get it from Japan, which is fine, but you're paying, $80 a book. Well, no, you're paying, $40 a book. And if you were just in Japan, you could probably pick this up for $10 or something. But it's totally worth it because I buy these books for inspiration. I don't buy these books for collecting or anything like that. I want to just kind of look at these books and look at these artists and kind of figure out what they're doing and how their storytelling works. Because at the end of the day, I want to be a comic book artist. And to learn that, you have to look not only just at, as much as I love John Byrne and Jack Kirby and Neil Adams, guys like that, you got to look in other places to kind of see what kind of interesting stuff the medium can do. And yeah, I mean, Kaze Shinobu is definitely a rarity and a master. But this is part 1 of our Kaze Shinobu trilogy. And part 2 will come at some point. Not sure yet. And then there'll be part 3. So it'll be a trilogy. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you can get your hands on Kaze Shinobu's work, you absolutely should. And if you are a fan of manga, I'm probably going to cover a Tomo at some point. So that's to come, obviously, because he is the manga artist of manga artists.